Look, whatever you're trying to achieve right now, you're not stuck because you're lazy. You're not stuck because you lack knowledge. You're stuck because you face resistance. Resistance is the force inside you that protects your current identity. It doesn't show up as fear, it shows up as logic. It speaks in a voice you trust. Be smart, not now, fix this first, you gotta work on your website, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, instead of getting the actual painful work done. Now we have two different types of people. There's two different self. There's two different versions of you. There's the current self, the person you are right now, and the desired self, the person you're trying to become. The current self does not want to leave. There are two types of pain. There is pain and evolving pain. The evolving pain is the pain that is going to help us grow, help us become a better version of ourselves, help us hit failure at the gym, spend 10 hours a day on a business. This is the evolving pain. The other pain is the pain, when you break your leg, when you get blood, when you have, I don't know, when you're teared up, when your leg is teared up, when you get a high kick, this horrible pain. This is the pain we want to avoid. But the problem is that our body cannot make the difference between the evolving pain and the actual pain. So whether you're trying to hit a PR at the gym or you got your leg broken, it doesn't make the difference. So it's gonna send to your neurons reminders and signals saying that, hey, we're in pain right now, we gotta fix this. And this is what your desired outcome is doing. So what we wanna do is fix this resistance. The resistance that your brain is telling you, the signals of mental pain that is telling you, you gotta do the work later, you actually gotta use this, because your brain knows you more than anybody else. Your brain is actually gonna use logic against you. Well, if you actually rest right now instead of studying, you're gonna have more energy tomorrow, so you can just leave it for tomorrow. You worked so hard this week, so why don't you save up some time, go out with your friends so that you can balance things out and keep things for later. So what's actually going on? When you try to act like the person you want to become, the person you used to be fight back, aka your current self. So resistance creates explanations that feel intelligent, but exist purely to keep you comfortable. Unfortunately, it does not really want you good. You gotta understand that your current self, the current version of yourself, do not necessarily want you good. So in order to achieve those goals, you gotta of course change your identity, which I will talk about in a future video. But just to let you know that your current self does not want you good. And you know it by yourself. You know all these excuses you're making to not go to the gym, to not spend a couple of more hours in your business. You know all these excuses. Rather than trying to book appointments, you're gonna work on your websites. Obviously, you gotta do the appointments. Nobody cares about the website. And there are a couple of logical lies I can give you as an example. Like, it is not the right time. Not strategy, just fear in a cleaner outfit. Not the right time does not matter. The best time is right now. I need to prepare more. Preparation, I need to do more market research. Preparation feels productive. But it avoids the only thing that matters, which is actually starting. I'm going to start that business in a month. I'm going to start the business in a year. Well, who knows if you're even going to be alive in a couple of years? Who knows you're going to be alive in next month? So the worst case scenario, you start now, you get your feedback, and you know whether it is the right thing for you or not. I need motivation or clarity first. Motivation comes after action. And regardless of whether you have motivation right now or not, you're going to have these down scenarios. So even if you don't have motivation, even if you do have motivation right now, just to let you know, maybe in a couple of days or even a couple of hours, your motivation is going to drop down. So the best way to actually work with motivation is actually by working without having motivation. Because if your baseline motivation is at its lowest and you still put in the effort, your brain is actually going to build patterns showing it that when you're putting the effort and you don't have motivation, it automatically going to get used to it. And over time, it is only going to help you to do the best. And this is what I've done. This is what Charlie Morgan has done. And the greatest people are implementing this. I don't want to waste effort. You're not scared of wasting time. You're scared of exposing who you are right now. Your current self, maybe it does not really want you good. Your current self, maybe, if you think about it for a second, if you were the right person that could achieve these goals, you would have already done it. So why are you still in this situation? Why are you still watching this video about this? Or maybe I need more information. You're not researching, you're avoiding commitment. And why these excuses works on you? Because you're ambitious. You want to be efficient, smart, strategic. You got the motivation, you want to start to achieve these goals, but you conditioned your mind to think this certain way for too long. And it's time to change the way you think. And resistance uses this against you. It doesn't attack your weakness. It weaponizes your strength. Your logic, standards, and intelligence become tools for self-sabotage. And that's why these excuses feel so believable. The real fear isn't the action. Posting isn't scary. Messaging isn't scary. Sending cold DMs isn't scary. The gym isn't scary. What scares you is the meaning behind the actions. Because if you don't make it, you're going to have to hold yourself accountable. And if you don't do that, it's going to hurt. Because if you hold other people accountable for the things you're doing, oh, this is because of the country I'm living in. This is because of my Wi-Fi. This is because I don't have enough experience. This is because of insert excuse. It is going to hurt because you're going to have to hold yourself accountable for every action you're taking. And it's not really the best thing. You're not going to feel the best, but just know that it is the only way to make it actually work. And how to break it? Very simple. There's a 4-step that I'm going to show you and actually works. Make the task literal. Not starting to improve my life, not starting a business, literally open a notebook. I'm not starting a business. I'm just opening my laptop and writing down ideas for like 30 minutes. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm not going to lift weight. I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to take some heavy stuff and do isometric exercises. That's literally it. I'm not going to do a cold call. I'm just going to dial a number. I'm just going to have my finger touch my phone, click on a green button and say words. When you make it this way, it feels so much easier because cold call feels like a whole mess. You know, you get the F words, it's not really cool. You're gonna do $100 a day, super boring. But if you just summarize it to just dial in a number, clicking on a button and saying words from a paper, it feels way much easier. Because we stick the habits, stick what we gotta do with our identity. But if I keep cold calling different from my identity, it's gonna feel way easier because the F word is not gonna be to me, it's gonna be to the person behind the phone. I don't know if it really makes sense, but when I keep things separate to myself, I don't really care if I get a bad word on the cold call because I keep things, this is the cold call thing, this is not me. I keep my identity and the other aspects that I gotta work on as separate, and it feels way easier because my ego gets less affected. The second step will be to label the thought. When the excuses show up, this is resistance. Resistance is the same thing. You can have a logical resistance, you can have an emotional resistance, you can have a strategic resistance. It is still resistance. You can have comfort resistance. You can have a partner resistance. Oh, I don't have a partner, so I'm not really gonna work on that thing. Resistance shows up in different ways, in different patterns, but at the end of the day, it's just the same thing. So once you recognized the resistance, you just understand it and tell it, resistance, you get away. That's it. You recognize it. This is the first step. Second step is to be intolerable with the resistance. And then for 3, move before the logic forms. You have 35 seconds. Act before the argument builds. You know, I used to feel resistance because I'm waking up at 6:30 in the morning every single day. Right now, before even thinking, before doing anything, I just wake up. I just get up from my bed and wash my face. This is the first thing I do so that I don't let the resistance control me. I don't let that overthinking, that delayed actionable steps hold me back. And finally, we want to build evidence through action. Every time you act despite resistance, you gather proof that you don't need motivation, timing, or clarity. Your identity shifts and resistance loses its grip. So it's funny because as you fight pain over time, you become that desired outcome. You become that desired self. You're not sticking to that current self anymore, because that current self does not necessarily want you to live it. Because if you become that desired self, you're actually suffocating your current self. And this is exactly what we want to do. It sounds horrible, but it is the truth. Because if you stay the same person, you're still going to have the same outputs. And I'm assuming that you want to have different results in the long run, or even in the short run. And once you're going to face resistance over time, that current self is going to disappear. And the desired outcome, that level up of you, is going to appear. So in conclusion, resistance doesn't hold you back with fear, it holds you back with logic. It uses specific patterns and tries to make excuses seem logical. So once you see the disguise, the excuses collapse and consistency become natural.